Hey everyone, Chris G here, and here we have the Philips 4300 Super Automatic Coffee Maker. Now there are a lot of videos on YouTube going over the interface, the design, and a bunch of things like that, and most of those videos are of course very favorable on this product. So today we're not going to talk about all the good things that the Philips 4300 has to offer. Instead, we are going to focus on all the reasons why you maybe shouldn't buy it. Because on this channel, I like to give you a transparent review so you don't have to filter through all the snake oil and stupid positive paid for reviews. Anyway, moving along. What is a super automatic coffee maker, you ask? Well, basically if you want like an espresso shot, but you don't want to do all the work with like the portafilter and the knockbox and all of that complicated stuff that makes making espresso kind of a hassle, and yes, it's pronounced espresso, then you get a super automatic coffee maker, which can basically mimic things like traditional drip coffee. It doesn't make traditional drip coffee, but can mimic it with a variety of different kind of gimmicks, if you will. But ultimately what it does is it makes an espresso shot, and then from there can make drinks like cappuccino, lattes, Americano. You get the idea. Anyway, the Philips 4300 series, and for that matter, the 3000 series and also the 5000 series, they get a lot of praise, but I'm not so sure it's warranted. See, the thing is Philips took over Seiko at some point or another, and I think they also have some partnerships with some other coffee machine makers as well. Suffice to say that they make a very intuitive and, for that matter, very nice looking machine, but it makes some weak-ass coffee, and that's the problem. See, I'm willing to let devices be excused for their quirks and gimmicks so long as they excel in the area of which they are designed. For example, if this thing made an outstanding cup of coffee, well then I would pardon all of the other weird isms that it has. But alas, it doesn't really make that good of coffee, so I'm not going to excuse the other things either. Now, what are those other things that you ask? Well, for starters, one of the biggest complaints people have with the Philips machines, and for that matter, super automatics in general, but mostly these Philips machines, is that the temperature on them just isn't quite good. Now, you are allowed to change the temperature, sort of kind of low, medium, hot type setting in the settings menu. However, even if you have it cranked up to the maximum setting, it doesn't produce the hottest cup of coffee. Now, for me, that's not a very big deal. I actually don't like my coffee McDonald's scalding hot, but some people do. So if you need that kind of lava in your cup, then you're not going to get it here. Another huge gripe that I have that will be applicable across the board is the small ass water tank. Now, this water tank, I don't remember the literage, but it doesn't really matter because this review is kind of an overview on why you shouldn't buy this thing. But it's tiny. And basically, you will run out of water probably every like 2 or 3 days, and maybe even quicker depending on how often you use this thing. Ultimately, every time you turn it on, it has to go through like a rinse cycle. Then obviously you're gonna make your coffee, whether that's an espresso shot, an Americano, you get the idea. And then of course, once it turns off, it goes through another rinsing cycle. Thus, you will be purging yourself of that water very quickly and constantly find yourself having to refill the thing, possibly even mid-coffee. So like in other words, as you're hitting the start button, it grinds the coffee beans, starts pouring most of your shot, and then all of a sudden it says, hey, need more water. Gets annoying after a while. Now, another fault in terms of its coffee quality is the lousy crema that it produces. Now, crema is basically the fancy Italian sounding word that basically means that nice golden foam on top of an espresso pull. And this one doesn't really make crema at all. If you have ever had traditional espresso, have an espresso machine where you've pulled your own shots, or even had like high-end espresso shot coffees, maybe from like some very expensive super automatics, you'll know that there is a nice, very fine golden foam on top of the coffee. This, not only does it of course make weak-ass coffee, but it doesn't really have a good crema, and I think that that is indicative of the quality coffee that this produces. Now, of course, if you are making things like cappuccinos, latte macchiatos, adding milk to it in any kind of degree, it doesn't really matter, but still, to me, it just is representative of the drink that you're getting. Another thing I'm not a fan of are the wasted beans if it runs out mid-cycle. For example, let's say you are starting a Americano shot. It's grinding up the beans and all of a sudden, oops, it runs out. It will tell you, hey, time to add more beans to the hopper. However, it will purge the ones that it has already ground up. So then by the time you put the new ones in there, it then starts the shot all over again. And the annoying thing about that is that it wastes perfectly good beans. Now, I suppose on the flip side, because this thing makes such weak-ass coffee, it's not really wasting that much beans, but still, nevertheless, it is a little bit of an error in my opinion on the Philips engineer's part. Now here's around the time in the video that I give you reasons why you might want to buy this thing. Overall, it is a clean, slim profile, nice looking machine. And the Latte Go system happens to be quite good. So all of the videos praising that are fairly accurate. The Latte Go is pretty easy. Basically, you just have this little pitcher here that you fill it up with milk. You can even leave it in the fridge and you just sort of like pop it on and boom, it's good to go. And it actually produces a fairly decent cup of steamed milk and foam. So like basically whether or not you're making cappuccino, latte macchiato, whatever it is, it makes a very accurate drink. And it is pretty intuitive other than the fact that you have to make sure that this clear pitcher part is snapped like really tight into the black frame. If you don't, it will leak. That of course was user error, but nevertheless, it happened to me when I was testing the machine. But nevertheless, it is a very easy, intuitive machine, makes great milk, and ultimately is easy to clean because you can just pop all the parts in the dishwasher. It is by far one of the best milk systems available on any super automatic coffee machine. Now, I was a little bit curious as to why Philips decided to omit a traditional latte as well as like a cortado. You know, you've got all these other like buttons and functions on this thing. It's like those are two very basic, you know, normal drinks. I'd much rather have a normal latte than a latte macchiato in this thing. But nevertheless, again, that's no fault on the Latte Go system. That part is very excellently engineered. In general, I like the Philips 4300 series machines, and for that matter, the 3000 and the 5000 series, they're basically about the same with the exception of some functions, but all of like the brew head and major components on the inside are just about identical. So overall, I do like it, but I don't love it. And I think that there are better options out there that if you are a coffee lover, you should probably explore. And even if you're somebody that doesn't like love coffee, you just want an easy machine to like hit a button and just make it, I'd still probably say there are better options out there, either from like Delonghi or Jura, or even just going with the traditional drip machine that kind of automates itself. You know, you can go with like, let's say, you know, a cafe grind and brew, or, you know, Breville has their own like, you know, grind and brew coffee machine, stuff like that. The Philips just has too many weak points, including its coffee, that it's just not worth the price. And, you know, this is an expensive machine. So yeah, good machine, not a great machine. You should probably look elsewhere. Anyway, that is our review of the Philips 4300 Super Automatic Coffee Maker. Let us know what you think about it in the comment section below. And obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Please like and subscribe on this channel, and we will be back with another video really soon.